the privilege and honor to introduce to you one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. David Wilson, who has been an amazing, not just a friend, but a mentor. He is so good at what he does. And you all are, like I said, are in for a treat. So let me just let you know a little bit about him. I want to also welcome his speakers. He's going to tell you more. He's going to take over, and you all are going to just have a great time and learn so much about planning for this year's National Prevention Week, which is one of our legacy programs and initiatives. Okay, so for those of you who do not know Mr. David Wilson, he serves as a health communication and marketing coordinator for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration's Center for Substance Abuse Prevention, CSAP in short. CSAP, of course, as you know, we work with federal, state, public, and private organizations to develop comprehensive prevention systems by promoting effective substance abuse prevention practices, and he has the honor and privilege to be working on these kinds of initiatives for many, many years. He is an expert in what he does. And so all these practices basically are in place to enable states, communities, and organizations like those that you all serve with to apply for prevention knowledge effectively. So I want to just give you Mr. David Wilson, who leads the National Prevention Week initiative every year. Give him a warm round of applause and have a great time.
Thank you, Amy. Let me tell you guys, I have been working with SAMHSA for 27 years now, and Amy has been one of my colleagues throughout that whole time. Anytime that I am feeling low or down, she sits about 50 feet away from my desk. All I need to do is get near her, get her energy, and I am up. Thank you for that introduction. That has gotten me up. Anyway, so thank you guys for being a part of this session. We are going to be taping this session only because we like to, in SAMHSA, push National Prevention Week. We like to get all of our grantees and our organizations and all of our partners ready to partner with us, to prepare them. And I thought if I'm giving this workshop for the 3,500 people who come to the forum, why don't we tape it, put it on the National Prevention Week website, and people who don't have the privilege of coming to this conference can see some of the tips and tools that you guys are getting as well. So that's why you see those two cameras back there. And I'm going to just be doing a brief overview of National Prevention Week, but I have two outstanding guests who are going to be telling you some of the aspects of some of the issues that we cover in National Prevention Week, and they're going to be telling you a little bit about what they have done over the years to plan for National Prevention Week. But before we start, I want a show of hands. I want to know how many people are familiar with National Prevention Week and how many people have gotten involved over the past 4 or 5 years, by show of hands. Nice. Nice. So can I do one other thing? Since I saw some show of hands, could you raise your hands one more time? Jane is in the back. Jane's my colleague, and she has a mic. Jane, would you mind going to a few of the people who raised their hands, because I just want to know what your brief experience has been with National Prevention Week before we even start.
Hi. Tell me where you're from and what you did.
5C Coalition in Elkader, Iowa, and last year was our first year, and we did a mocktail happy hour and did an open house for our coalition. So we had refreshments, and then we had we have a hidden in plain sight exhibit, so we did that at the same time. So it was our first time.
Thank you. And I saw someone up here with their hand up. Okay, I'm like, you put it down because you don't want to talk to me. That's okay.
Hi, everybody. We have a DFC coalition in Amado, Arizona, which is a small rural population area, and does not even have a high school or a middle school, but we do actually coordinate with their grades 1 through 8 to do a prevention week. The school has been really great about that with poster campaigns and contests and everything throughout the entire week. So that's how we get the word out down there.
Thank you guys for sharing what you shared. Like I said, I am going to be talking about National Prevention Week. I'm just going to be giving you a brief overview about what we're trying to do this year. As well, let's talk about some specific resources that will be available to you guys this year. I know in the back of that table, I have already put out one of our main resources for this year, which is the National Prevention Week 2018 Planning Guide and Resource Calendar. It not only gives you tips and specific ideas and strategies as you're planning your event from now until May, but it also gives you, because it's a calendar, it gives you a countdown on milestones that we think would be great milestones for you to hit as you're planning your event. And then, after I do my overview, we are going to hear from Michael King, who is here from Facing Addiction with NCADD. He is also a National Prevention Week partner. He will talk about their community convening guide and how it can help you organize a forum in your community, because many people, as a part of National Prevention Week, are not only highlighting their success and the impact of the prevention work that they've done over the years, but they are also conducting forums or, in many instances, town hall meetings. And then after Michael, we're going to hear from one of my dear friends and colleagues, Ms. Linda Arbach. She is a member of this year's NPW work group. She joins us from right in our backyard here in Washington, D.C., Carroll County Health Department. She's going to share many of the best practices that she has had over the years working with National Prevention Week. And then we're going to have what I think is the most valuable part of this session, a Q&A not only with myself, but also with my two partners here on the stage. And then, lastly, as we wrap up, for those of you who weren't here for our Prevention Day event on Monday, I am going to preview 2 of the 7 National Prevention Week promo videos that we have developed, not only to promote National Prevention Week for us, but 6 of those videos have been tailored for all of you, for you to take, for you to use as you promote your events, as you're promoting the many different themes that we have for National Prevention Week, so that you can customize it and don't have to do any of the video work that we did. There are 3 goals for National Prevention Week. We try to keep it simple. The first, and what I think is the most important goal of Prevention Week, is community involvement. And for those of you who have not heard my speech before, National Prevention Week is just a platform that SAMHSA has put out, a platform for you to use that week to showcase all of the prevention impact and all of the successes that your community or your grantee has had around prevention, whether you're doing underage drinking prevention, whether you're doing opioid prevention, whether you're doing marijuana youth prevention. This is your opportunity to say, this is what we have been doing over the past year or the past 2 years. This is the impact that we have had in doing that work, and we want to tell the world what that looks like. Because we at the federal government are always trying to define what successful prevention look like. And what I have learned over my 27 years in working in this field, that you guys do a much better job of explaining and, more importantly, showing what prevention looks like than we do. My job is to just galvanize all of those successes, and that's what makes the prevention story look as big as it's supposed to look. The second goal of National Prevention Week is our partner engagement. And when I say partners, I usually mean our federal partners and our national partners, because SAMHSA only has a certain sphere of influence. And if we want to maximize the effectiveness of National Prevention Week, we need to partner with other people who have a much bigger or a much different sphere of influence than we do to get the word out, to get people involved in showcasing their prevention success. And then the last goal of National Prevention Week is resource sharing. So we in our agency are very passionate about the 5 themes of National Prevention Week, but we also know that we don't do those things in isolation. So our friends at CDC are just as passionate about the work that we do. Our friends at NIDA and NIAAA, our friends at CADCA, our friends at APHA, all of these national and federal organizations that we partner with also give us tools that we can share with you guys. And so those are the 3 big goals of National Prevention Week. This year's theme is Action Today, Healthier Tomorrow. And when you think about that theme, at its core, that's what the primary goal of prevention is. Doing something today that is good to help us prevent something in the future. So Action Today, Healthier Tomorrow is this year's theme. I'm sure you will hear that a lot from now until May the 13th. Of course, National Prevention Week this year is May the 13th through the 19th, and each day represents a key health theme that we hope that you guys are doing some work around that you can showcase on one of these days. So on Monday, May the 14th, the promotion of mental health and wellness is the theme of that day. And of course, we wouldn't be the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration if we didn't try to find a featured day for the promotion of mental health and wellness. Tuesday, May the 15th, we are tackling the prevention of underage drinking and alcohol misuse. Wednesday, the focus is on prevention of prescription and opioid drug misuse, which seems to be the national focus when it comes to prevention these days. So Wednesday is that day that we're trying to spotlight, and we hope that all communities that are doing work around that particular theme are doing something on that day. Thursday is the dedicated day of the prevention of illicit drug use and youth marijuana use. Friday is our dedication to the prevention of suicide, and we end the week on Saturday, May the 19th, discussing the prevention of youth tobacco use. So those are our theme days for our week. This is just a little snapshot of some of our national partners. As you can see, we try to be as diverse as we possibly can, and we try to make sure that each of our partners has a stake in one of those themes that I just mentioned that you just saw. Why get involved? I get this question all the time. I think the main reason to get involved, like I said, is we're trying to create with this platform a national dialogue of what prevention looks like, and more importantly, why people need to do it, why it's important. And like I said, you guys with your impact and the success tell a much better story than we in the federal government ever could. And so collectively, that's how powerful our national dialogue can be, which is why we need the participation of everybody who's doing work around prevention. 2, you can raise awareness not only about what you're already working on, but you can raise awareness to people who aren't even a part of your immediate circle by being a part of our larger circle. So you not only raise awareness in your own community, in your own state, but your story being translated to us raises awareness about what you're doing to a larger audience. I always talk about partners, and partnership is the key to having success. National Prevention Week also gives you an opportunity to partner with new organizations and new audiences and partners that you might not have already done so beforehand. And then lastly, of course, this goes without being said, you make a difference in your community by engaging in National Prevention Week.
I wanted to know, when you showed that sponsorship slide, and there were national organizations, and I thought I saw some that are in my area, the Boys and Girls Club, that's what I was looking for. Have they, are they disseminating the information locally to our Boys and Girls Clubs so they'll be aware of this?
Yes, ma'am.
Or do we need to present it to them?
Yes,
Okay,
they are.
okay, awesome.
That's what we've asked them to do, so yes.
Thank you.
I would also add that even though we've sent it to them and asked them to do it, it's always helpful for you all being local to nudge them, to call them up and say, hey, and you're the national group is a sponsor, you're a partner, what can we do together? Or did you, I'm just checking to make sure you got it, like ways to get in there.
Cool. You guys can stop me anytime if you have questions too. And this is my last slide before I turn it over to our really, really distinguished partners over here. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the resources. One of them, the main one I said, is our planning guide and resource calendar that is in the back of the table. The website. The website is one of our biggest resources, www.samhsa.gov/prevention-week. That is the National Prevention Week website. There you have access to all of our materials that you can download, including the planning guide and the calendar, but also you have access to all of the webinars that we do for National Prevention Week. So from now until May, we usually conduct a webinar on each one of those themes to get you prepared and to get you ready to start your dialogue around any one of those areas. Those webinars usually include experts from the field, also experts from our other national partners are involved in those webinars, and they also get to speak to you about the resources that they have developed around that particular area. So the website, and also, in addition to the website, we have a toolkit. Oh, I have 3 minutes left. We have a toolkit. The toolkit, so you don't have to download all of those materials. All of the materials for National Prevention Week and all of those health issue topics that I mentioned and the resources from our partners are on that toolkit. It's a wristband. We ran out of them. We ran out of them, but if any one of you wants to share your card or you want to write down your information, as soon as I leave this presentation, I will put in your order to have those toolkit wristbands delivered to you. Not only do people use those wristbands to download the materials so they can plan their events, but they also use those wristbands as tools for the event that you actually plan. So those are very popular materials and tools that we have. So, enough of me. Now about the good stuff. Michael King is new to me, but his organization isn't. So I want to share just a little bit about who he is. Michael King is the National Director of Outreach and Engagement with Facing Addiction. How many people have heard of Facing Addiction? Facing Addiction is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to unifying the voices of the 45 million Americans and their families directly impacted by addiction. Michael's work with Facing Addiction includes national coalition building, oversight of resource development, as well as grassroots and community organizing engagements. Now, prior to his work at Facing Addiction, Michael worked for more than a decade in the political arena, managing political campaigns in numerous states. His work included presidential, United States Senate, and gubernatorial elections. Additionally, Michael served as a co-chair of Faces and Voices of Recovery's Public Policy Committee. I remember that. And is a 2018 Just Leadership USA Leading with Conviction Fellow. He's the proud father of 2 young children and a person in a long-term recovery from alcohol and gambling addiction. So I know we are in for a treat, not only with his wisdom and knowledge, but more importantly, his experience. So without any further ado, I invite a warm welcome for Michael.
You know, I always find that introductions feel so hard to try to live up to once you've heard them. But thank you, David. So my name's Michael King, and I'm a person in long-term recovery, which for me means I haven't had a drink, a drug, or placed a bet since February 16th of 2013. Thank you. So just shy of 5 years coming up here, which is very exciting. And recovery for me, the number of gifts that recovery has meant to my life, I could spend far more than 20 minutes talking about them. But one of them is having the opportunity to serve as the Director of Outreach and Engagement with Facing Addiction. And we're very excited to be here today. I'm very excited to be here, very excited to present this one particular resource that we've developed that we really hope can be utilized during Prevention Week in any number of communities across the country. And it's something we developed last year. I'm going to take a little time here to walk through the resource with you, its origins, how it came to be, our rationale behind it, and what some of the content of that guide looks like. First off, though, as I didn't see too many hands go up across the room, which is actually always a little bit exciting for me, because I get to tell you briefly about Facing Addiction and who we are. And we are, in fact, now Facing Addiction with NCADD. We just went through a merger with the National Council of Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, and it's going to take me a while to get used to saying Facing Addiction with NCADD, as opposed to just Facing Addiction. But as David said, we're a national nonprofit organization, and our primary mission is to really take all of these different constituencies that work on addiction-related issues and substance use disorders, from the recovery community to the families of loss, to the prevention community, treatment providers, public health, criminal justice reform, faith leaders, and unify all of us behind a common agenda, behind the common cause that I think we all stand in unity on, which is trying to adequately address and take care of this awful public health crisis that we're facing as a country right now. And I get the opportunity, and I'm just eternally grateful for it, to work with and to grow our coalition of supportive organizations, which we call the Facing Addiction Action Network. And the Action Network is currently made up of over 770 groups from all over the country, everything from CADCA, the National Council of Behavioral Health, to small local organizations, small local prevention groups, small local recovery organizations that are doing tremendous work in their communities. I feel spoiled. I get to work with all of these different groups and to hear about all the amazing things they're doing in our communities. And by having a coalition that I always like to describe it as very ideologically diverse, people coming at this issue from so many different backgrounds, we're able to develop resources that are tackling this issue from any number of different perspectives, whether it's reducing the stigma around addiction, to reforming public safety responses, to expanding access to evidence-based prevention practices, which is one of our 5 primary goals. So that's just a little bit of background on Facing Addiction and who we are. One resource that we developed was that I'm here to talk about today, and that as I mentioned, I really hope will be utilized throughout Prevention Week across the country, is what we call a community convening guide around substance use prevention. And I just want to say, how many folks have done work in this room for over 20 years in this particular area? Any long-time vets? Awesome. Anybody 10 to 20 years been working in this field? 0 to 10 in there? All right. So I ask that because some of the content in our guide, and we had some copies, it looks to me like they're already gone, which is the best problem I can possibly have. It's available. Connect with me if you didn't get a chance to get a copy. I asked that question because some of the content in the guide, for some of you who are experts in this area, you may think to yourselves, well, this is relatively elementary. I know this content background. Why are we walking through this? Well, this guide was developed, we wanted to develop something that we thought would be accessible to anybody who has an interest on this issue and wants to start organizing their community around it. So we wanted this to be something that a grassroots activist who perhaps has no professional background around substance use prevention could pick up and feel comfortable that they felt educated enough to start working to rally public support behind the implementation of these kinds of programs in their community. So I just wanted to sort of preface that for those of you who might look at that guide with your years of professional experience, that we wanted to keep that grassroots focus as our primary audience so that nobody felt that this was something they couldn't take on. So a little more background on how this guide came to be. So we think of ourselves as a grassroots-driven advocacy organization in a lot of ways. And I have the pleasure, as I mentioned before, of talking with professionals across the country all the time. And one thing that's come up in so many conversations that me and others on the Facing Addiction team have had has been, my goodness, we know there are programs out there that are evidence-based, that have proven degrees of efficacy. We know we need to get them further implemented into more communities. What more can we do to do that? And we sort of started to pitch the idea to folks, and we got a very positive response back. Well, what if there was more grassroots support behind it? What if the professionals who know the issue, know the policies, know what works and what doesn't, had communities rallied behind them? So we wanted to develop a guide that would help them do that would help communities get their grassroots organized around this issue so as to implement public pressure to the people who maybe aren't on board with us yet to start trying to see some of these programs be implemented. So that's kind of the origins of where this guide came from. And in order to develop it, we reached into that coalition that I mentioned before, the Action Network, and got upwards of 20 different organizations involved in the development of this particular guide. I always like to preface that I'm as David alluded to, I'm an organizer. That's my background. I'm certainly not a professional in this arena, but I know hundreds of people who are experts, and I like to talk to them. So our way of developing these resources, whether it's in this area or any other, is generally to talk to our coalition, bring the 20 smart folks around the table that we can, and facilitate that conversation. I'm certainly not the owner of all the good ideas by any stretch of the imagination, but I see a lot of folks with good ideas around this room. So that's just a little background on how this guide came to be. And again, the purpose here was to provide an outline for how to organize community forums, town hall forums around this issue so that we can adequately display the necessity of this program, why we need this, why is it so important in our communities, why is this something that if I'm someone who doesn't feel that I'm directly impacted, why should I care? Why should this be something that I push my school district or other leaders in my community to implement? Why is it necessary? What is SBIRT, which is a secondary part of the guide? Why is this something that's necessary? And we wanted to have this as a tool for any kind of community organization that wants to raise awareness around this issue and then work towards implementing successful programming. So this was the purpose behind developing this particular guide. And I just want to walk through kind of what's in that guide. I know some folks, as I said, got a copy of this before. We really encourage hosting forums and town hall meetings where community leaders can come together, parents, students, elected officials, others who can attend. And we think that this is a vital first grassroots step to start rallying and increasing community awareness of the necessity of these issues, and then in turn, community support. And then we walk through in the guide, what are some of the steps that a grassroots activist is going to need to take in order to organize a successful forum. The first thing we recommend to them is to meet with community leaders, and in a lot of cases, you are some of those community leaders that we're referring to when we do this. I recently was doing a training in Rochester, New York, and it was fascinating because there was a fair amount of folks from the prevention arena in the room, and there was some activists, and the activists kept saying, we need to do this, we need to do that, and the prevention folks stood up and said, well, we're working on that. And I said, well, this is exactly why we all need to be in this room together, because we need to, the folks in sort of the activist community need to be able to talk to community leaders to figure out what's already going on, what's maybe being planned that we don't know about yet before they move forward with these things. This is a big emphasis we put in here. Designing a program and a format that is going to be accessible if we want to win communities over to us and we want to increase awareness. It's perhaps a little bit obvious to say that we need to be engaging on the issue and design something that will keep folks involved. And we really emphasize the need to have both issue area experts as well as people with real life experience. Whenever Facing Addiction does a forum on any event, we always try to mix in policy experts with, I hate to use the term real people because it sounds a little condescending to policy experts like they're not real people, but people with real life experience, and then making sure and emphasizing with folks who utilize this guide that they need to get a good crowd. It's not going to do any good for our communities if we don't do everything we can to get a sizable crowd in these rooms. And then the most important thing that we emphasize in doing this guide is the necessity of building an ask. What are you asking the people in the room to do moving forward? Because if we don't have an ask and it's very clear cut as to what it is, then folks are going to go in, it's going to be great, they're going to feel educated, they learn something new, that's terrific, and then they're going to go home and start making dinner, and within an hour, unless they have a specific thing that they've been told they need to do, it's all going to go right out the door, and kids are going to get up in the morning and going to get them to school, and it's all going to be for naught. So we really emphasize the need for communities that utilize this guide to figure out what that ask is. And here are some of the potential asks that we throw out there. And something I emphasize in communities that I have the opportunity to visit is that I don't know what that ask is for your community. Facing Addiction isn't going to say this needs to be your ask. Communities know their communities better than we ever could. So each individual community needs to determine where are they in this process? What's the right next step for them? Is it letters of support to elected leaders who need to make some better decisions on this stuff? Is it empowering these folks in the room to call, communicate, email those elected leaders? Is it getting more people to speak up and tell their personal experiences around this issue in order to generate community support around it? It really depends on the community, but these are some concrete examples we wanted to throw out of things that communities can make a specific ask of moving forward. And then in the back of the guide, for those of you who have it in front of you too, you'll see we do go into some content background here. Now, Facing Addiction was the nonprofit partner with the Surgeon General in the release of the Surgeon General's report in November 2016. So most of these examples of programmings come from the Surgeon General's report. But again, for the grassroots activists who maybe don't know an incredible amount about this issue, at least at the start, we wanted to list off certain programming with some more specifics on each one that do have certain proven degrees of efficacy so that if they're going into their community, they can actually point to a specific program, perhaps for a specific age range, that there has been some evidence of effectiveness in these programs. And these are just a few more of those programs that are listed off right now. Again, most of this comes, as I said, from the Surgeon General's report and what they found in this particular area. And then we do a similar thing around SBIRT and throw to a couple specific community models that are give a little bit of background for folks who have an interest in taking their community in that direction. And then finally, these are, as I mentioned, this product is something, this resource came about from a series of our partners across the country who participated in the working group, helped us draft it, signed off on it before we put anything out. It's something for Facing Addiction that, as I said, we will never put out a resource in any particular subject area until we've conferred with our partners from that area. We're not going to sit here and try to say we're the folks that always have the good idea. We want to bring people together from all of these different sectors to help develop these resources in order to really fulfill our mission. So these are just some of the groups that were instrumental in helping us design this particular resource. And then finally, here's my contact information as well. If you did not get a copy of this guide, we had a few in the back of the room, just come find me afterwards, or it's on our website, or you can email me directly and I'd be happy to share one with you. But I just do want to end by saying that we really do hope that communities use this guide as a tool during Prevention Week. We think that this could be an amazing resource to really increase community awareness, increase community involvement, and by doing so, start to see some more programming implemented in more communities across the country. So I am very grateful to have had the opportunity to talk. I'm sorry if I'm talking fast, 36-year problem according to my mother. But I'm not quite at that time. I got 1 minute, so I will spare that extra minute for my co-presenter. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, David.
Thank you. Now, our last speaker is someone who I have worked with very passionately over the last 4 or 5 years. And when I tell you, and I've been in this business for about 27 years, Linda is one of the most passionate prevention people I have ever met. And I say that with all honesty. I don't know who does more in her community than this woman does. Linda Auerbach of Carroll County Health Department Bureau of Prevention, Wellness, and Recovery is one of my strongest partners for National Prevention Week. She is a certified prevention professional and an internationally certified prevention specialist. Linda sits on the advisory board of the Maryland Collaborative to Reduce College Drinking and Related Problems through Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, and she is a graduate of the DEA Citizen Academy. Linda, like I said, is a faithful, passionate member of the National Prevention Week work group, and Linda has been in the field of substance abuse prevention for more than 20 years. I introduce to you my colleague, my friend, Linda Auerbach.
Thank you. I'm really honored to be here today. I'm not going to repeat everything that David said. Thank you so much. And I'm just so honored to be asked to do this. Just to give you a broader picture, Carroll County does have 170,000 citizens. And last year, the prevention office alone, our outreach with our prevention messages, reached over 60,000 people. So before I get started into all the fun activity stuff, I just wanted to comment that last year, well, actually in 2016, national overdose deaths were approximately 142 Americans died daily. And if you think of that, that's a 9/11 every 3 weeks. So that being said, prevention now is more important than ever before if we want to try to change the future. I love prevention, as David said. I feel I know prevention works. I've seen it not only in my community, but I've witnessed it with my own 4 children and now my grandchildren, 9 to be exact. So this first slide is about our coalitions and how prevention works. We actually in Carroll County have 2 coalitions, the Carroll County Coalition Against Underage Drinking and also our Opioid Prevention Coalition. And if you look in the back, and if I need to put more materials out, they're all for the taking, and those are some of our coalition materials. There's some for the wristbands, which are generic for everybody. Don't run, call 911 for Good Samaritan Law. And also I have my contact information I'll put back there also. This year, Operation Prevention Power, we partnered with the Elks Club, and this is our new partner for us. And how this came about was actually our kickoff last year with the Roaring Run Lions Club. We had over 325 people attend. We were the Carroll Arts Center. And of course, someone from the Elks Club was there, so they called us. And they just wanted, to do something. They've never done anything within the community with the drug prevention before, even though they have their own trailer. It's kind of sitting on their parking lot. So they booked us. We started, planning. They had received a grant. We helped them write for $2,500, so they can provide food and door prizes and such. And it's just, that face-to-face contact. I just can't emphasize that enough. Being able to meet with them, discuss your goals, what the message is that you want for the community. And again, bringing new partners in. We feel like everybody we meet is a partner. We're going to have door prizes, some of that $2,500, and they're having dinner. It's going to be door prizes, information booths. And so this big kickoff, we're having the DEA come out and present. Our sheriff's going to say a few words opening, county commissioners, and our state's attorney's office. And also, once you get out there and you're visible, like we're a prevention office, but whether you're a coalition or grassroots organization, you're going to get asked back for things. Last May, we had 19 events for National Prevention Week. It expanded to really National Prevention Month for us because we never say never. We never say no, and we're very flexible. So something about this year, so we're going to have outdoor stations. It's going to be from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock outdoors with youth involved. We're going to have Foolproof perform, which is an improv group in our county, high school students. We're going to have the Carroll County Sheriff's Mobile Command Unit, which is just amazing. They have a camera in there that you can see for 2 miles all over the county, and most people don't realize that. So you get to tour that. McDaniel College, who is our local college, they bring out Sydney and they put an obstacle course. So what that is it's an impaired driving mini car. Again, the community loves it, the teens love it, and it's really teaching them. It's teaching them about impaired driving and distracted driving. The Intoxiclock, has anybody in here heard about the Intoxiclock? No? It's a great tool, and you can order it from different prevention places online. And it actually, you can pick your drink and, your weight and everything, and it'll show you how long it takes your body, to be impaired, and when you're not impaired or intoxicated, it gauges it. And it's, again, a really nice engagement and interactive activity. And then we do of course, our Elks. This was the whole purpose because the Elks wanted to use their trailer. They have all current drug trend materials in their trailer, and we do a Wheel of Fortune. And it's, of course, questions and answers, and there'll be prizes. And then we're going to move indoors at 6 o'clock for our series presentations and speakers. And this year, we're going to concentrate on underage drinking and also opioid use and misuse. Awesome door prizes. We're not quite sure what they're going to be yet, but that's part of our planning meeting. And the Elks are really excited, about partnering with this and having jobs and duties to do. And again, National Prevention Week just gives us the opportunity to celebrate prevention. You almost have to be like a cheerleader. Give me a P, give me a R. We're also going to have information booths with free handouts. And we do ask if anyone can be interactive with their information booth. If they do have a wheel, to come out and engage. But we are having, as you can see, Siggy Butts and Sun Guard Man and Sparky. And those are our costume characters that will be walking around and engaging because, when families come out, it's not always just middle and high school students. They also have the younger kids that are there that are involved, so you want to engage them also. As David mentioned earlier, the Boys and Girls Club, they will be there. They are our partners, and they're really strong partners last year and this year. On our own, I wanted to mention, that is our mental health and substance abuse resource center. So they're open during the day where if someone is in a homeless shelter where they need somewhere to go during the day, when the time comes when they have to leave at 7 a.m., it is open all day into the evening, and we partner with them a lot to do programs. And of course, the why, and a little bit more about Foolproof, and in your own community, I put all these down so you have ideas from your own community. They are high school teens that are actors, and they sign a contract to remain alcohol, drug-free. And they do real-life situations. They perform. And actually, you're going to see a slide later where they have performed at National Prevention Day before. School. Always involve your school. If you involve your school in your activity or your event, they will email it out to all of their parents. And that's a lot of parents and teachers. So some of the things that we have done recently, and we lead up to National Prevention Week because we typically, we had high school students who come to the coalition meeting wrote 4 PSAs, public service announcements. Be a true friend on alcohol and sexual assault. It can happen to you, which is shows a downward spiral. Underage drinking and also distracting driving, and don't be an unintentional drug dealer, which is actually about an athlete who gets injured and his mother gives him his first prescription drug thinking it was prescribed for her so it won't hurt him. So what we'll do is film this, get the kids involved, and then on National Prevention Week kickoff, we rent our local Carroll Arts Center, and on the big screen, we show all of these videos. And we actually have the kids come up, the ones who wrote them and helped produce them and were on the scenes with the filming, come up and say a few words, why they chose that subject matter. So recruit your drama club students. I'll go around and take flyers. I'm very old school. And just, ask them if anyone wants to be involved. Sometimes we just need extras when we're doing, some sort of video or a PSA, and you'd be amazed at how many people show up. We were filming a video one time called Heroin Kills, and I needed extras for the funeral scene, and literally we had about 150 people show up, and it was snowing that day. We have also every year our Drug and Violence Expo, and I put that in here because you can see the wristband. And actually, David, I'm so glad you announced how to get them because someone asked me today. They missed them and wanted to know. We give those out. It's at our Ag Center, Agriculture Center, and they bus the school kids in. So all day long, we have nearly 4,000 high school students that come. This year, middle school is going to come also. And then in the afternoon this year, we're doing something for the adults, and we're having workshops that my office is going to be responsible for, and we're giving CEUs. National Prevention Week, Drug and Alcohol Facts. We kind of stole this from NIDA because we just had this in January, and what we do is we also, another idea for everyone, each day, as you can see, whatever the subject matter is, we actually send a daily fact out, and we distribute this via email, and it goes out to thousands of people. We ask everybody to also send it out. And people also have your information then and your contact information. Simple and doesn't cost anything. Also, National Prevention Week newsletter. Promote yourselves. Promote National Prevention Week. Whatever drug of the day is prevalent in your community, and they have your information, but you're sharing knowledge and you're making a connection. Some partnerships and collaboration. And again, if you're in a city or you're in a small county, there's law enforcement. We have a great relationship with our sheriff's office, our state's attorney. Actually, while I'm here now, one of my staff is in schools doing Don't Believe the Lie, which is an 8th grade assembly, and we teach refusal skills, and we role play. High school, we have special ops program, which is actually someone in recovery, a young person coming to speak. And we have a parent who lost a child. Right now, we're working on with the state's attorney's office, Heroin Still Kills video. And again, we'll be using local teens and local young people to film this. So again, I won't read all of these, but I'll be here afterward to take some questions. And one thing I definitely want to mention is so crucial, and especially invite them to all your coalition meetings or to partner, are the medical professions, the pharmacists, the doctors. Some of them really do want to be involved, and we're actually right now planning a doctor's dinner training, and we're expecting 150 doctors, and we have a pharmacist who lost a son who started with prescription drugs and ended up with heroin, who's going to be one of our keynote speakers along with the DEA. Be creative in your partners, and I know this you're thinking, what's this about? Again, one of those PSAs that our teens wrote, it was high school kids going to a prom, and it was a heroin awareness. We needed prom dresses. Literally, we walked down the street to a bridal shop, who would have thought, and asked them, would they be interested in being involved? They let all of the girls come in, pick dresses, jewelry, shoes on loan, and not only did we get a new partner, but they got a better understanding of what's going on in their community. And it's a bonding experience for the teens. And who has a better voice but them to their peers? Agency involvement, again, really doesn't cost you anything. For National Prevention Week, do a bulletin board challenge. Challenge your other agencies to put up a board. This was, I think, 2 years ago that we choose. This year it's going to be Dear Future Me letters. Nobody wants to be left out. Marketing, of course, your newspaper, television, local cable stations. They will show free on your local cable stations. They have a little bulletin board at the end. I mentioned the schools, churches. Go to Panera Bread at the bulletin board in the back and put your flyer out. And if you have community volunteers, you have nothing for them to do at that moment, whatever activity you have, let them take flyers out to their community. So our best practices are start planning early. It's never too early. We're already, planning next year's. No, meet with your sponsor or whoever's involved face to face and start your planning meetings. You want to definitely determine the focus of the program, who the target audience is. Suitable location, make sure there's lots of parking. Some previous years, this is our youth I talked about with Foolproof. We went to Washington, D.C., National Press Club. Strong as one, stronger together. We keep those themes, give the teams a voice because they listen to each other. The themes that SAMHSA is giving us for National Prevention Week, the whole week, we just keep that theme. This year, Dear Future Me Challenge has been amazing. We had young people come in, write letters to themselves, sign from their younger self, and actually from that, a Career and Technology Center filmed, so it's teens filming teens, so it did not cost us anything. And now we're getting ready to do a basketball team who wants to do a group letter, and we're actually going to film that when I get back. I set that up while I was here, and that's about it. Also, just always involve your dignitaries, community leaders, your sheriff, your commissioner, because they really do want to be involved. And there's my contact information.
Like I said before, I don't know anybody who does as much with the resources that she has in her community, in her county, than Linda does. I strongly encourage any one of you who are thinking about ideas, you want new ideas of engaging in your community, and more importantly, showcasing the work that you and your organization does, speak to Linda. Speak to Linda. She is one of the best resources that I know. I want to talk just a little bit about some last things that we're doing for National Prevention Week before we have our Q&A session. One of the things that I wanted to show those of you who weren't here on Monday was our Dear Future Me video, because that's one of the key activities for National Prevention Week this year.
Dear me, you're older and wiser, but I want to remind you that
I'm making smart choices right now. With the help of
caring people who intervened early on,
I'm avoiding some really dangerous pitfalls. So,
I'm able to make healthy decisions when I'm
offered pot and pills,
struggling with prescription pain meds,
at a party with alcohol,
depressed or feeling hopeless,
tempted to try cigarettes.
The support I'm getting now
is a big reason you are
living a long and healthy life.
So thank you to all the people who are there when I need it most.
Signed, your younger self.
Substance use prevention and mental health promotion strategies work. Get involved in National Prevention Week and help others take action today for a healthier tomorrow.
So that's our full National Prevention Week promo. So this one, I'm told, is one that Linda did already.
Dear Future Me, I'm sure you're out in the world doing big things, and I hope that no matter where life takes you, in college or when you're home for the holidays, you still know in your heart what is the right thing to do. I'm in high school right now, and everybody just seems to be partying and drinking and smoking, but I'm not doing that. And it's hard to be set apart from them or looked at as different, but I know it's worth it, and I know that my future is going to be so much better because I made this choice. And I hope you're making that choice too. Signed, your younger self.
And that was just one of the many that Linda has already engaged her young people in doing. Do I have one of the 30 seconds? No? So, I know I saw smartphones in everybody's hands. Can somebody pull out their smartphone and type in www.samhsa.gov/prevention-week? Tell me what you see. They can Google National Prevention Week. Takes you right there. It's easy. And as you're doing that search, I want Jane to go around with anybody who raises their hands who may have a question for myself, for Michael, or for Linda. Yes, in the back.
My question is, what's the difference between SAMHSA's Prevention Week and the NIDA Prevention Week that's the end of January? Like, we've done the NIDA week in the past, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference, I guess.
The goals of both of them are sort of similar. The difference between the two really is the two organizations. And with us, we do a lot more community involvement than they do. So we have a whole community involvement piece that they don't have, and we actually have a whole nother social media component that they don't have. But I will say we collaborate a lot with the Drug Facts Week and with National Prevention Week. The last key component that's a little different is that since we have, I think SAMHSA has over 5,000 grantees that we fund, and they don't necessarily have that large swath of grantees. We actually require, well, not require, but we strongly encourage our grantees to be a stronger voice of National Prevention Week. And so those are some of the key differences between the two. But we try to maximize both efforts by collaborating with each other.
Just a quick question. Thank you. Wonderful presentations. Just a question about cost. How much is it in terms of cost of doing this in your communities?
That's a great question. So a lot of the things I talked about cost nothing, just whoever you're connecting with. That's the great thing about if you get someone to sponsor it. Like last year we had the Lions Club. So we did rent Carroll Arts Center, which is a big theater because we wanted to show the videos. The total cost was about $1,000. Now, they got food for 125, but they ended up having 325 people, but there was enough. And what they did is like the small little sandwiches and rolls, wraps, and then they did fruit and cheese and all. We have a local caterer that works with us and just gives great prices because they believe in our causes. So now this year they got $2,500 at the Elks, but they're going to buy door prizes and all also to give. So it really depends, what you want to do. But if you do want to have food, try to get someone to help sponsor it. But if not, if it's through your office or your agency, if it's your prevention office or whatever, you really just your manpower, because a lot of things you can do yourself, print your own programs, and nobody charges for the information booths, and everything that we're having there is free. So other than the food, and that cost is being covered in door prizes.
I love that.
And I have another question. I'm sorry, I'm pretending I'm a new person. So do you have these events at different locations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So whoever the partner is, we go to the location. Actually, the Elks Club, they have a club, so it's on their parking lot and inside their facility, so they didn't have to pay anything to rent the place.
So I mentioned as a part of resources that National Prevention Week does is our webinar series. And so I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what our next webinar is going to be for National Prevention Week. It is called Prevention After Trauma. If you go to the website, you will get the specific date and also the link to sign up. What I love about our webinar series is that, like I said before, they cover a specific topic that's related to one of the health themes of National Prevention Week. It is usually 3 parts of that webinar, which is an overview of National Prevention Week. It usually has an expert or 2 in the field around that topic, and also includes a representative from one of our partners. And you can always find it if you can't see it live. There's always a copy that you can go to on the website if you missed it. And we also provide the slides and all of the information from that website to you as well online. I saw one more hand.
I'm from a school district, and so I just, obviously you're working with kids in your coalition, but are you partnering to do a lot of the Prevention Week in schools as well?
Yes, I'm so glad that you brought that up. Actually, We have partnered with the health curriculum, and we go into 6th grade and do refusal skills, 7th grade anger management, 8th grade addiction in the brain, and 9th grade we do current drug trends. We're also been going into the school issues classes in psychology. And now this year we're going into 5th grade also. And we take Plinko in, and talk about healthy choices and goals and stuff. It's the big game where they drop down, the coin, and they love it. So.
Now, lastly, before I let you go, I'm reminded I needed to say 3 things from the actual conference. The first one was I need to remind you guys, and I'm sure you've heard this every session that you've sat in, to download the app by searching CATCA Forum in the App Store. And if you already haven't done so, it's free, and it contains useful information about the forum. The second thing I need to say is please take a few minutes before you leave to evaluate this session and each of the sessions that you've attended. And the evaluations can be assessed easily on the app or at the CATCA website. And then finally, CATCA has launched its annual survey of coalitions on January 8th. And they want everyone to be a part of it, so please email survey@catca.org to complete the survey. Each coalition should only fill out 1 annual survey, and 3 lucky winners will receive a laptop or a $100 gift card for completing the annual survey by March the 5th. So that is the request from CATCA. I want to thank you for spending your time with us this morning. I hope the information that we provided to you was useful. And please, we all 3 will be roaming around, so if some last-minute questions that came about while you were still sitting in your seats and you still want to ask us later, we'll be around to answer anything that you might want to ask. Thank you.